Hola muchachos. Today's lesson is on the perfect tense. There's technically quite a few perfect tenses, but we are only going to focus on one, which is the present perfect. Now, we just came off doing preterite and imperfect, so this is slightly connected, but it does have a very unique usage. So let's learn about it. Please copy down anything in yellow that is blank on your sheet as well. So, use. We're going to use the present perfect to express actions that happened at a point before now. We do not know the exact time in which they were done. If we did know the exact time of completion, we would be using the preterite. Now, you could be saying to yourself, well, what about the imperfect? Well, remember, the imperfect is for ongoing actions, repeated actions, habitual actions. That's not the case with the present perfect. So, basically, we're going to use this to describe past events that may still have an effect on the present. So, let's look at some examples. Have you read it? ¿Lo has leído? It, in this case, would be a newspaper. Periódico. What have you seen? ¿Qué has visto? Haven't you gotten up yet? ¿Todavía no te has levantado? So you can see from these three examples that this is a compound tense. We're not used to those, so this is the first time you're experiencing that. We'll get into forming in a minute, but let's look at some of the other usages. Okay, so we're going to use the present perfect to express the idea of an experience that you have had. For example, I have never been to Madrid. Nunca he estado en Madrid. We also can use the present perfect to express a change over time. So, for example, your Spanish has improved. Tu español ha mejorado. Accomplishments. Our son has learned to read. Nuestro hijo ha aprendido a leer. We're also going to use it for uncompleted actions that you are expecting to finish soon. The rain still hasn't stopped. Todavía la lluvia no ha parado. You can also use it to express actions that occurred at different times. I've had 4 quizzes this week. For example, one on Monday, one on Tuesday, one on Thursday. He tenido 4 pruebas esta semana. Okay, so we've seen a and we've seen e. Okay, there are other forms that we're going to look at in just a moment. Let's just make sure we understand what this means. So, haber, in this sense, translates to have or has. So, if you look at the English conjugations, I have, you have, he or she has, we have, y'all have, they have. That's how we come up with have and has. And then the past participle typically translates to the verb with an ed ending, like discovered. But obviously there are a ton of irregularities in English because English is such a challenging language to learn. So we'll get into those in a second. Okay, so we talked about it being a compound tense. So we are going to put haber in one of the forms combined with a past participle. Okay, so what are the forms of haber that we're going to use? Yo he, tú has, él ha, nosotros hemos, vosotros habéis, ellos han. Then we have to add a past participle. Hado for AR verbs, ido for ER-IR verbs, ido with an accent for our diphthong verbs, the double vowel verbs. Cho, so, and to. Those are our irregulars, and we'll get to those in a moment. So what you do is you just drop off the AR, ER, IR, and you add on the appropriate past participle ending. So let's look at an example of each of these 3 types of verbs. A are verbs. I have sent the letters. He enviado las cartas. Have you understood with an ER verb? ¿Has entendido? He has served the food, which is an IR. Ha servido la comida. So now we got to look at these irregulars, the diphthong idos, the cho, the so, and the to. Okay, starting with our diphthong verbs, double vowel verbs, caer, leer, reír, creer, oír, traer. They all have double vowels in them. All you have to do is just put an accent on that I. Caído, leído, reído, creído, oído, traído. Now let's go back and fill in the English to make sure we know what these mean. So this would be fallen, read, laughed, believed, heard, and brought. Okay, let's look at our chos. Decir and hacer. Dicho, said or told. Hacer, hecho. Made or done. So it stands alone. Impreso means printed. Okay, the bulk of these are tos. So we have vuelto, returned. Envuelto, wrapped. Escrito, written. Abierto, opened. Descubierto, discovered. Compuesto, put together. Proponer, propuesto. Romper, roto. Freír, frito. Devolver, devuelto. Returned, this is an object. Resuelto, resolved. Descrito, described. Cubierto, covered. Puesto, put or placed. Descompuesto, taken apart or broken down. Muerto, died. Visto, seen. I'm just going to go back and put here composed to add that as well for componer. Okay, now little rules here we got to figure out. For the past participle, it will never agree to show gender and number when used with haber. La silla ha roto, feminine singular, it still ends in roto. El lápiz ha roto, masculine singular, still roto. Las persianas han roto, feminine plural, still roto. Los iPods han roto, masculine plural, still roto. This is different from the past participles when they're used with a star. For example, los ordenadores están rotos, because in this case they're being used as adjectives, not as verbs. Okay, that's all for now. Buena suerte.